Welcome to Coffee Break. My name is Michael Moret. Long time ago, probably about 20 years ago or so, I was asked to do a funeral of a former member of my church who had moved to another town. I was asked by his wife to come and do his funeral. And he was a former truck driver. And so, yeah, I'll go. And it was just me and my son. Aaron was about 10 at the time. And so we drove 150 miles to this place. And the funeral was going on, and I wasn't emceeing this funeral. I was just the speaker. But this friend of mine, her pastor, he was actually doing the funeral. Must have been 350 people there. It was jammed. And I would say probably at least 80% of them were unsaved. Pretty much hardcore sinners. And so I'm sitting off on the left wing with Aaron, waiting to be called up. And this music is playing, hymns, something we're playing over the PA. Pastor had a tape recorder or something going behind the pulpit, which played the music. The music was playing, and I was nervous. I just was uneasy. And the song was just about over, and it was the last song. The pastor started walking up. And I kid you not, as he was walking up, he was getting close to the pulpit. He was only a couple of feet away where he was going to turn off the music and call me up there. So he got a few feet away from the machine. And I prayed, God, if I could just hear that song one more time. I need to hear that song one more time. And he got up to the machine, and it started, or close to, within a couple of feet away, and it started playing that song all over again from the start. And this pastor, he acted kind of surprised, and then he just backed off and he let it play. Talk about an answer to prayer. It played in its entirety, and by the time it was done, I was all set. I needed to hear that song again for my own spirit. And God answered my prayer. I was all set. And I went up and I delivered my message. As always, a gospel message whenever I preach a funeral. I'm not there simply to eulogize. I'm there to preach about Jesus. I did. All these unsaved people. And when I finished, I said, would you like to pray to receive Jesus Christ? If you would, then pray with me. And I said, pray loud enough so that the person next to you can hear you praying. Because it says, Jesus says, if you're ashamed of me, I will be ashamed of you. If you're not ashamed of me, I won't be ashamed of you on Judgment Day. So I started leading them in a prayer of salvation. And I said the first sentence. And they prayed. And that place shook. It was so loud, it actually startled me. So many people were praying, and so loud. And I prayed the whole thing. And I went and I sat down, and my 10-year-old son at the time, I sat down next to him. He looked at me. He said, good job, Dad. I couldn't believe what I heard when they all prayed. I said, I know, me either. I don't know how many of those salvations were real, but I do know, at least in some cases, my friend's death was not in vain. And hopefully he took many, many people with him. I'd go by the response, by people who prayed out loud, loud enough to be heard by the person next to them. A lot of people got saved that day. So, God is good. I've never enjoyed doing funerals, but I've never walked away from a funeral thinking that I haven't said everything that God wanted me to say. And that makes a person feel good. Until next time, Michael Moret for Coffee Break. So long.